Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 491 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. As you can see, got the beanie. Wash the shirts. All Zack Snyder Justice League support. And, I don't know if I'm going to be wearing this every day. It is actually kind of warm here in Hawaii, so I don't really need this. But maybe when I get into the colder states, I would definitely need it. But let's go into some DC Films DCEU news. This is via Instagram. James Gunn actually confirmed that the recordings of Suicide Squad will be over in a few weeks. So here he goes. When do you wrap shooting? In a couple weeks. And here you see a little bit of that behind the scenes. There is a video going around, but I've heard that those were being taken down. So here's a snapshot. Anyway, and that's the Suicide Squad. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Finishing shooting pretty soon. Probably get to see a teaser sometime and other things like that. It's interesting. We saw the teaser of the Batman before we even see a little quick teaser of like the costumes and the full costumes and stuff, or even a shoot of just all the characters together. So hopefully we'll get to see some kind of official reveal for that. Pretty soon, rather than just behind the scenes shots around this. Okay, so but James Gunn has been the talk of the town lately because he's been answering questions, and then he's been answering things in regards to other articles. Like Comic Book Resources says that James Gunn has 2 more DC movie ideas, and he retweeted. He says, well, at least 2, but there were 2 others I seriously considered other than the hashtag the Suicide Squad, which we already knew, and there was rumor had it that one of them was actually Superman. So apparently, DC and Warner Brothers are really looking at James Gunn to head some more movies for them, and ideas were being thrown around, and I guess there are 2 more movies to be considered other than the Suicide Squad. And I'm thinking maybe just the sequels or something else entirely. I frankly hope it's not Superman. I still think J.J. Abrams would be a pretty good Superman director, and would love to see some kind of rendition of that. But James Gunn's still talking. Some interesting ones from here. James Gunn has revealed interesting stuff last night. He seems to have a wide knowledge on what's going on at DC Films, as he acknowledges knowing future movies details, and Walter Hamada himself showed him the Batsuit. What? So he did answer a couple questions. Do you know the future of the DC movie universe? Like, do you know details on new movies? Some, yes. And did Matt show you the Batsuit? Walter Hamada showed me the Batsuit, and I texted Matt to tell him how much I dug it. Which is rather interesting to see, that Walter Hamada is, you hear his name come up here and there, but he's never really in the spotlight, right? He's never coming out. He's never coming out and say, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're excited about. He doesn't talk it up at all. Like, none of the really Warner Brothers execs have really talked up anything. I think Peter Safran's probably the closest to the person to have ever talked about something, but Walter Hamada, pretty quiet guy, and just to see how he's actually being involved with directors is actually kind of interesting. I wonder how much more does he share with these directors, and apparently James Gunn, maybe along with other directors, know a little bit more about where this universe is going. And for you, anybody's interested in about Harley Quinn, right? What happens here? Does Harley Quinn have a spotlight on the Suicide Squad? And he answers, she's a major part of the film, if that's what you're asking, which I kind of think it was going to go in that way. Margot Robbie is part of the production, and so you'd probably bet that after Birds of Prey, she wants to be highlighted more. They're indeed going to give her a bigger part within her. I mean, she's, as a lot of people say, she's one of the biggest things out from Suicide Squad. Not doing too well with her, Birds of Prey at the moment, but we'll get there in any case. And also coming up is the Suicide Squad. Apparently, she's a major part. So if you want to see more Harley Quinn in bigger roles, it's coming up, and that is James Gunn's the Suicide Squad. And in terms of, I want to talk a little bit because they mentioned Batman, and Ben Affleck has been kind of the talk for today. He's been a big deal today. There was a New York Times article which has been going around talking about his health, talking about his alcoholism, his marriage, some very few Justice League, the Batman even, and of course his new movie, The Way Back, and starting to see he's doing really well now. I'm glad he's getting better. I'm glad his personal life is getting better. I'm glad that he's doing okay. But let's hone in on the parts that are, that matter for this channel, right? Because this is about DC movies and things like that. But let's look at what he talked about in terms of the Batman Justice League. While speaking with the New York Times, Ben Affleck opened up about why he decided to hang up the cowl and all those wonderful toys. While the Batman was in development, Affleck's personal life wasn't in the best shape. Not only was his marriage in the process of falling apart, but he was turning to alcohol more than ever before. I drank relatively normal for a long time. What happened was that I started drinking more and more when my marriage was falling apart. This was 2015, 2016. My drinking, of course, created more marital problems. The troubled production of Justice League certainly didn't help matters, and the resulting reshoots apparently zapped Ben Affleck's interest in continuing in the role. After showing the script for the Batman to a friend, they cautioned Affleck against returning to the role for the sake of his health. I showed somebody the Batman script, Affleck said. They said, I think the script is good. I also think you'll drink yourself to death if you go through what you just went through again. While certainly would have liked to have seen Affleck get a proper outing as a Dark Knight, I can't fault him for stepping down to concentrate on his health. No project is worth killing yourself over. So, going to Ben Affleck's Batman is by far my most favorite and best cinematic Batman to date by far, even in the look of him compared to Robert Pattinson's look right now. I mean, Robert Pattinson's got his great armor here, but I'm still kind of wavering on the headpiece a little bit. But Ben Affleck, right? Through his personal life, you see he's been drinking in 2015, 2016. It's been so many years right now, and he's really, really had it bad. And I feel so bad for the guy. And I feel so bad that when he went through, he had so much faith in the role that Zack Snyder gave him, right? And he didn't even want to be Batman. He didn't even want to go through that. He says, that's not my thing. I'm not ready to do that kind of thing anymore. But Zack Snyder was able to come say, hey, this is the story that I want to present. This is how your story is going to work out, your story as Batman. And he loved it. He says, that's a fantastic take. But of course, with studio intervention and how much the studio just bullied Zack Snyder around and bullied in a way Ben Affleck around, including to the point that his own movie, The Batman, was getting rewritten in or pushed around, and it's just a toxic nature of the studio at that time that really drove him, a part of what drove him to where he in like a really bad and deep state, right? So I really feel for him, and incredibly sad that he had to go through all that. And I'm really happy that, according to when he's talking to the New York Times, it really feels like he's coming back. He's kind of coming back to a place of happiness. He still has lots of regrets about his marriage and his personal life and his personal issues with alcohol and things like that. But I think he's really trying to turn it around, and he looks a lot better. I mean, you see that ESPN video, he looks a lot better, he looks a lot healthier, and overall he looks a little bit happier too, and I'm really feel really good about that. But yes, the Batman script was good, right? It did. I remember when he was almost like wanted to say that everything was working out, and the studio was almost trying to say, well, and he was just trying to keep the bridge, right? He's just trying to keep the bridges intact, and saying that, you know, the script never worked out, it didn't work good. But we hear from Jay Oliva that this Batman script was the best Batman script he's like ever read and stuff like that. And we got to believe it. And so he kind of putting it out now, kind of throwing a little shade to the story. Says, I think this, they were telling him the script was good, but he drinks himself to death if he had to go through all that studio crap again, all that crap that the execs at the time, whether it's Toby, Toby Emmerich, whether it's Kevin Sujihara or even Jeff Johns at the time, all that stuff was not working out for him. They were bullying him into doing something he didn't want to do, and that led to, you know, him just completely disinterested in being Batman, because the reshoots was taking away from Zack Snyder's Justice League as well, and he was Zack Snyder's biggest supporter, and he was pissed out of his mind. He's like, he was going through marital problems, he had alcohol problems, he had all these things, the negativity from the critics and the media and everything was just shoving down, and, you know, to the point that he's just gonna blow up. But hopefully the new Warner Brothers regime, and also Warner Max, this new division, they're a better environment for these directors, for these creators, and so for them to be able to flow and make the things that they want to make, and make sure that this whatever happened to Ben Affleck, and Zack Snyder and everybody, will never happen again. I know that's a long shot, because we live in this corporate era of these, corporate decisions that have to be made. It's kind of hard to flourish as an auteur, but there are chances like that, and I think the streaming service really helps in that matter. But I like what Brian Cum did here. He tweeted this out: to bring attention to our Batman at Ben Affleck and his new film, The Way Back. Tweet out in support on February 29th. Hashtag The Way Back to show Warner Brothers how much we appreciate him and his completed hero's journey. One shot for a second chance. And I love this. I've only wanted to just add, we could hashtag release the Snyder Cut along with hashtag The Way Back, in a way just thanking him for tweeting out on November 17, 2019, where he did it himself. He came out and without tweeting anything too much before, and decided to say hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And I feel like it means so much. He's willing to fight back. He's willing to, and I don't mean this means coming back as a Batman, but more to fight back and support Zack Snyder in finishing what needs to be done, in finishing that part in his life that was thrown into the gutter, and kind of redeem themselves once again. And so this is kind of like it's very almost the way back for Ben Affleck, the way back for Batflick, from the way back the movie itself. And I think it means so much to him, and I mean so much to us as well. And so I'd like to say I will probably join in on this tweet, maybe even put out a video, hashtag The Way Back, hashtag the Release the Snyder Cut. Ben Affleck, we love you. Thank you so much for supporting us that day, and we're really happy that you found your way back to being the man that you've always wanted to be, and actually healing yourself and being happy once again. So I really hope that you all join us in this February 29th to tweet out that day, or Instagram, or video, however you want to see fit. Hashtag The Way Back, hashtag Release the Snyder Cut. So that is awesome. Speaking of Zack Snyder, Zack Snyder Bible had posted this little video out, right? And it seems to be a execs roundtable discussion. It's very similar to the other roundtable discussion, and in both of this roundtable discussion, whereas there's Alan Horn in here, Toby Emmerich, and all these others, it's funny how they come back to that Zack Snyder's 300. So watch this, Hollywood executives discuss Zack Snyder's 300.
There one
Watch
that got
this.
away? Is there a no that you, above everything else, really regret?
The 300 that they made. That was like a story my grandmother used to tell me as a little kid. You know, she always told me Greek myth stories. She was a classics professor from
That's so interesting you say 300.
And I was so close to it that I thought we should do it for real. And I saw this comic book, the Miller book, and I thought, oh, come on, you can't do it like that.
Can I make you feel better?
Yeah.
I did too. Because we had Zack Snyder off
Zack
of
did,
Dawn.
yes, and he did.
And we had a book that we were developing in the same space with another prominent filmmaker, and we felt like we couldn't do it. And
I
so
thought
that
Ridley Scott should do it. Ridley Scott should do it like
But
Gladiator.
it wasn't obvious until, I mean, kudos to you guys, because it wasn't obvious until it was obvious, right? It was.
But at the
definitely
time,
because-
when Zack Snyder came in, I said, okay, are there swords in this movie? Yes. Are there sandals? Arrows? Yes. Shields? Yes. I said, come on, we just did Troy 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Why would we do that?
But some of
You know
those
what?
lines.
And we took partners in. We had partners.
I think
So
we've all
that
said
wasn't
no.
easy.
I think if you went back to every no that we've all given.
So, it's really fun to see Toby Emmerich really just really losing his battles here. I mean, he really messed up big time. As you can see, people regret not having Zack Snyder in their studio. They regret not being able to make his movies. And this guy had the audacity to sell Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead to Netflix, and which could be equally genre defining as 300. I am just appalled to see this son of a gun still there, but I don't know. Hopefully he changed his mind. Hopefully he's learned. He did come in midway through all that mess from New Line Cinema, and so I don't know if he's dropped his ego by now. But in any case, I think Warner Max will have a better field day if Zack Snyder was involved in that streaming service, and totally show Warner Brothers that they need Zack Snyder. People, auteur filmmakers like Zack Snyder to have that genre-defining moments in time. So, shame on Toby Emmerich, and I think he must. I don't know if he felt embarrassed twice now where they mentioned Zack Snyder. I know in the other video he didn't talk much and he was just really awkwardly silent, and he just looks equally awkward here too. So, oh my gosh. But we were still kind of celebrating Zack Snyder's Justice League here. SnyderCut.com was able to put together all the compilation of video of all that he has yet to rise submissions with a moving display to support for Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder. I'm going to link this video in the description below. It's over 30 minutes. It's an incredible opening and an incredible flow of it, and with the music and everything, and just the voice of the many people within our community, and people that you've probably never seen before. They're outside of the community that was able to find SnyderCut.com, find their Facebook page, and lend their voice to the movement, and lend their love and show their love for Henry Cavill, and also says he has yet to rise. So hopefully Henry Cavill will be able to see this and see the love that people love him as from when his portrayal as Superman in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and hopefully even Justice League. So I think this is a great show of support for the Snyder Cut, and a great show of support for Henry Cavill as he has yet to rise. The Zack Snyder's Justice League fan posters has not chosen a winner yet. Okay, so, but there is a new mega thread and something you guys can interact while we wait for Zack Snyder to choose the winning posters. Welcome to the fan poster sweepstake mega thread. Guess Zack's winning poster, win a prize. Couldn't be easier, right? Just browse through all 1,000 plus Zack Snyder Justice League fan posters within the galleries available on Vero, Twitter, IG, and reply here with your top 3 picks. Good luck. So instructions are over here. Welcome to the fan poster sweepstake mega thread. The rules for entry are simple. Starting 2/18, reply to this thread with your top 3 Zack Snyder Justice League fan poster picks. Remember, you are trying to guess which poster you think Zack might select as his overall winning Zack Snyder's Justice League fan poster. To enter the sweepstake, you must specify your top 3 picks in order of preference and must include the fan poster's archive index numbers. Tweet with your fan posters sweepstake. All correct first picks will be entered into a random draw to win a prize. Sponsored by TPZ, Team Pro Zack. If no first picks match Zack's winning selection, the correct second picks will enter the draw, and so on. That's very interesting. So, for example, hashtag fan poster sweepstakes. Your number 1, they're just throwing a number to them, like number 1007, number 982, number 1183, whoever. Artist name optional, but encouraged for recognition. Also, the pictures themselves, we would like to actually see them. So you can reply with your 3 picks as a single tweet, or reply with a separate first, and second, third, or preference tweets on his thread. Only your first pick, 3 picks, will be counted as a valid entry, so make them count. We will search for winning entries by archive index number and only as replies on the sweepstake mega thread. Good luck and release the Snyder Cut. So here's Charlie at Snyder Cut JL, throwing in one example. This was incredibly difficult, but I chose these 3 posters as he's winning picks. It's really hard. It's really hard. I'm going to have a hard time finding 3 of my best. I know I have 4 best, but I was randomly looking at it from what I remember. I did not get to look at all 1,300 submissions one by one and truly look at them. So it's incredibly hard, but it's going to be incredibly fun, to interact and show you and see, hey, you may just win too. But I'm still can't wait to see what Zack's winning poster is and what he's going to do with it and what type of prize will be coming with that. So hopefully it's this week, but we'll see. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. In any case, that is it. So much love to Ben Affleck as Batman. Much love to Zack Snyder's Justice League, and hope we get to see the Snyder Cut pretty soon. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Release the Snyder Cut. Bye-bye.